So I just cleaned this and of course it's dusty again. Where does it come from? Alright, I don't know how to begin today's video, but welcome back. It's been quite a while since I've posted on the channel. Yeah, let's not talk about that. What are we going to do today? Well, a couple of days ago, I think now, I was taking a look at some boxes that I have that are filled with more boxes. And what do these boxes contain? Mainly just things put into storage, things I can't really use at the moment, or just spare parts. And one of those things is this box right here. What is it? Well, it's not a Noctua fan, but it is a fan. Yeah, it's a little bit dusty, but we're going to take care of that later. It's a Fractal Design Silent Series R2 140 millimeter fan, 1000 RPM, and I think this is from like 2013 or something. But basically, what's the story of this fan? I got it, I don't know how long ago at this point, and I put it away into storage, and that's the story of the fan. Yeah, I got this fan, and I haven't touched it since. I have no idea if it works. I'm hoping that it works because I have an idea of how to integrate this into a project that I'm currently working on, and I can't really share any details right now because, well, it's not out on the channel yet. But I figured I'd make this video. At the same time, it's kind of like a, I don't know, story time, and just a easy project to do. But yeah, we're already going off into different places here with this story. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, to start off with, it's a fan, right? A PC fan. Now, I know this takes 12 volts because, you know, that's what it's designed to take, but I have an idea to connect this up to a USB cable and power it off of USB. Now, before you say anything, yes, 12 volts is not the same as 5 volts that USB provides. That's not the point. I just need this to spin, and even if it's at a slower RPM, that really doesn't bother me, because I just need this to circulate air. I have a PC fan connected to USB, but it's an official Thermaltake thing. I'll put a picture of it right now. And what I use it for is for internet appliances. I guess internet appliances isn't exactly the right word to use, but basically modem, router, things like that. I'm not talking about like a Wi-Fi activated toaster or anything like that. I'm talking about the thing that actually brings internet into your home. Now, those things are typically passively cooled, and honestly, they work, you know. They don't overheat necessarily because they do have heat sinks and things like that, but they do get quite toasty. However, ever since I put it into service, I wouldn't be surprised if it's been more than a year at this point, if not longer. It's kept things cool, and I've rarely had to do any, turning it off and on again because, the fan does its job and it keeps everything cool. And the fan itself has never given me any problems. Occasionally, I do have to, of course, clean it out because, dust. So I just have to clean it out with a brush. But basically what I'm saying is that it's nice to actually have one of these fans around because you can use them in areas that you wouldn't even think about using until you actually have one. So that's where the Thermaltake fan is. But what about this fan? Well, like I said, I have a project in the works. Whether or not it spins at its full RPM really doesn't bother me. And yes, I know there are special cables you can buy or special adapter boards for PC fans to USB and increase the voltage so it runs at full speed. I'm not going to do with any of that. I want to do this with things that I have on hand. So obviously we need to connect this to USB somehow. I'm not going to cut off this end because there is a chance I could potentially get a cable, like an official adapter cable or something like that in the future. So I'm not going to cut this off, but I do have this cable. So this is just a used USB-A to USB-C cable, and I have no problems with cutting off this end because first of all, this part doesn't even work anymore, the actual USB connector. Now, if the whole cable turns out to be faulty, then I'll just have to find another cable. If you're like me and you collect a lot of stuff, then you probably have a lot of cables and some of them probably don't even work. This would have been e-waste if I haven't held on to it for all this time. And I honestly don't know how long it's been since I got this cable as well. Time is a scary thing. Anyways, we're gonna cut off this end, and then I'm gonna get a multimeter, which I don't have here. I have to get it out, and we're going to make sure that this does in fact output, voltage. Typically it's this end of a cable that is broken or worn down, because that's what you actually plug it in, and this is the end you would leave plugged into your cube. So I mean, you can barely see it, but leave it plugged into the wall. That's what I'm trying to say. And this one's actually kind of nice because it's braided, and at least the connector on the USB-A port, it seems to be metal, but this end is plastic. Now, it's possible it also had metal at one point, and actually it might have had metal at some point, because looking at it, it looks like it's missing something. Just another reason why no harm done in repurposing this cable, because, what are you going to do with a broken cable if not reuse it? Otherwise, you're just going to throw it out, right? And at the same time, because this is also a black braided cable, it'll match the braiding on the fan. Obviously not perfectly, but, close enough. So yeah, this has kind of become a story time episode. Story time / DIY cool project thing. But before we end this clip here, I'm just going to show you that I got a Husky toolkit here, and we're going to use the wire cutters to, obviously cut off the wire. But before we cut off the wire, we are going to give this fan a proper cleaning for the first time since I've had it, because I do not want to be recycling dust into the air. So I've got some isopropyl alcohol, I've got some paper towels, and we're going to give this thing a good clean. Okay, so we won't be needing this box, but I think it would be a good idea to give this a wipe down as well. And no secrets under here. And now everything's going to be dusty. Hooray! I'm just going to put this off to the side for now because we don't need it at the moment. And we have ourselves one dusty PC fan. Okay, so I'm not going to record the entire cleaning process, but I guess since we're already this long into a story time type of video, let me know if you guys like it. I really haven't done too much of a, oh my goodness, of a rambly type of video like this. I mean, sometimes I feel like some of my videos I can talk a lot, but even then they're pretty heavily edited. But this one I have a different idea about. I don't really plan on cutting out too much stuff, apart from, like filler, or not filler, but like repeating myself over and over, I guess is the right thing to say. I kind of like this type of content because if I have to do less post-processing, like cutting out filler, cutting out the things, obviously I'm still going to do that with this video. I'm not going to leave like 3 minutes of pure silence, but more of a, just, I don't even know what the right word is. I've been doing edited content for so long that I guess this is just more raw footage. I guess that's the right thing to say. Kind of story time. But at the same time, what's the story being told here? Is there really a point to this? I don't know. But hopefully you guys enjoy it enough to stick around and see more content like this. Now, thinking about what I'm going to talk about and film at the same time, that's another thing, because half the time I don't know what to film. Half the time, or mainly most of the time with my videos, I don't have a script. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of having a script because I've noticed that I've tried it a couple times. I've tried making a script before. I don't know, there's just something about it that makes it seem, I don't know, more professional in a non-entertaining way. because I guess the dictation and the way you're talking changes compared to just talking openly like this. If you have some kind of script, you're probably going to follow it word for word. But if you're just making it up as you go along, which is what I do a lot of the time, then it seems, I don't know, it's just something that I prefer doing. If it really makes any impact in the end result, I don't know. Half the time, if I'm watching someone else, I'm sure that many other YouTubers have some kind of script, at least if it's some sort of documentary type of thing. They'll probably have some sort of script so they don't mess up information. I've just found that I prefer doing it, just coming up with it along the way. And oh boy, that's a lot of dust. I'm gonna have to change this paper towel. I like the way I do videos is by filming content and then going back into the content and just making voice recordings along the timeline. So I'll end up with like a ton of audio, and I'll just edit it up, put it in to where it needs to be, and the end result is pretty nice. Obviously, this is not like a gigantic channel. I don't have any sort of budget. The budget that I have is what I have on hand. This is kind of a new experience for me, so I don't know if I'm rambling too much. I will say the one downside of doing, talking in the moment, at least when it comes to a professional looking type of video, is that sometimes if I mess up, I will get annoyed at the recording, delete it, and something will happen. I will mess up again, delete that recording, start again, repeat that probably 10 times for the same audio clip, and then I begin to mess up and I stumble, and because I said one thing but it's actually deleted, I may miss out information. Yeah, YouTube, huh? All this technology mumbo jumbo is too complicated, right? I do like making content. I like posting videos, and I would like to post more content. The problem, however, is because the content that I want to make, the professional looking stuff, that takes a lot of time. I'm only one person, and things like, life also gets in the way. Ideally, my schedule would be 24 hours a day of YouTube content creation, but reality and what you want to do don't exactly align. And so oftentimes, I just don't want to do it. But if you guys enjoy this more, talking in the moment, less edited type of content, then please let me know. Or if you want to see some specific topic in mind, like talking about a random CRT television that I have. I don't even know. A lot of the stuff that I try to do, I try to make it more of a professional level with the budget that I have. Sometimes it's not always like that, not always the way that I envision it. And at the same time, like I said, I want to make more content, but it always takes time. I want everything to be perfect, but doing content like this would at least allow me to push more content out to you guys. I just have to get used to this because I feel like so much time has already been spent talking about nonsense, but maybe I'm on the right path and I just don't realize it yet. You guys will have to let me know if there's anything I should change. Like even the less edited type of content, I still go in and remove a lot of like filler and things that made sense at the time, but looking at the timeline, you don't need to talk about that the second time, or and things like that. I do have some ideas, like changing out my desk setup, or at least making it nicer, because as it is right now, it was good for the time, and I think I'm still gonna leave the monitors and like the microphone and things like that in place, but the cable management has become a nightmare, and I honestly wouldn't mind having the Mac Mini closer to me because I often unplug and plug things in a lot. whether it be USB devices or a SD card or something like that. If you guys want to see more stuff like that, then leave some suggestions or, ideas, things you'd want to see, because hey, might as well try this out, because like I said, most of my stuff, I've tried to make it perfect. But hey, we can only do so much, and I would like to get more content out. But now let's put the story time off to the side and take a look at the fan. So here it is, all cleaned up, or at least as much as I can. I don't want to disassemble this or anything. Pretty clean, and it seems to be spinning without a problem. It is quite silent, so that's good to see. We got to put this off to the side now and take a look at the cable. So here is a multimeter, and here are the wire cutters, and we also have a wire stripper. There's going to be 4 internal wires, and this is obviously a 3-pin connector. But we don't need 4 or even 3. We just need the 2 power wires for this to actually spin. I'm pretty sure the 3rd cable on this is for data, or something to adjust it with software. I guess it depends on the fan, and some fans also have 4 pins. Some of them also have lighting. I don't think this has any built-in lighting, at least based on the housing. It looks like a standard fan. So I think I'm going to cut it directly at the base here to make the most of the wire. There is the connector, and then we got this. Okay, so it looks like that is shielding that we removed, so it's not the wire. We have green, white, and red. Now, I thought there would be a black wire as well. We're gonna detach those first and check it with a multimeter to see if those are the cables that we need. Okay, so here is a Samsung USB travel, or just a USB brick, and we'll plug this in here. Now I'm gonna leave this propped up. We're gonna set the multimeter to 20 volts DC, because this is 5 volts DC. Here goes nothing. Okay, so let's prop this up so we can get a better view. I'm sorry for the angle, it's not the greatest. Okay, what is going on here? But I still don't understand why I'm not getting a reading from this. Okay, so there has been a new development, because of course there is. Seems like something always has to go wrong, or at the very least be a minor inconvenience. And in this case, it's annoying, but I honestly shouldn't be complaining because, well, I mean, this cable was going to be used in some way, shape, or form, and I guess I'll just have to repurpose it someday in the future. But basically what happened is, this, while it does work, I wanted to double check it with another multimeter. So I got this higher end one, and I used continuity mode to check that the cable itself worked. Now there is continuity between the USB end side of things and the cables themselves, but for some reason I'm not getting voltage at all. I did double check the power cube. I also tried it out with an official Apple one. This one works just fine, but for some reason it just doesn't want to work. I don't know if it's something about it being a USB-C connector cable. Not really sure, but hey, this was a pretty beat up cable anyways, and it was going to be used like this, so not too torn up about it, and at the same time, I guess it gives us extra content. But like I said, I tried out continuity mode, no voltage. And I did double check the fan. It seems like this does function. It does at least give a reading to the multimeter, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but this is where we will move on to another cable. So yeah, this one, we wasted our time. I mean, I was hoping to get this one working, but for some reason it just isn't. Now, the thing that confused me earlier is the fact that there is no black cable. What I found out later, though, is that the black cable is repurposed as what I thought to be the insulator. It does work. Like I said, continuity checked out. Interestingly enough, I also tried it out with the anchor cube here. So this thing has like smart USB detection, basically saying if it's actually charging something or not. And whenever I plug it into here, I thought something was going wrong with the cube at first, but whenever I plug it in, it starts blinking. And apparently that indicates that there is no charge or power being detected through it. So clearly there's something wrong with the cable. Not entirely sure what, but this thing definitely helped out. Now if I take this other cable that I have here and I plug it into the smart charger, it lights up like a normal cable. Now the reason why we're going to be using this cable next is because this one I know does not work. Now hopefully it doesn't cause the same problems as well, but it seems like this one, the lightning connector just stopped working. And I tried it out again and this got hot real fast. Yeah, that's a feature, right? This got extremely hot really fast, and I immediately unplugged it because clearly there's something going on with the lightning connector side of things. The USB-A side was just fine, so we're going to use this cable next and see if we can actually get the fan to work. We can actually save this because this feels like aluminum. But as for this side of things, I wonder if we might be able to disassemble this connector here and just take the wires as they are without having to cut it. So I'm gonna mess around with this a little to see if I can do something. If not, I'm just gonna cut it and we'll wire strip it from there. So a little while later and we got this part of the cable out. I mean, the soldering job on this isn't exactly the greatest, but well, we're not gonna be keeping this portion anyways. But as you can see, this one does have a black wire. A black and a red wire. And the fact that this piece got hot indicates to me that there was power going through this thing. So even though as a lightning cable it was malfunctional, hopefully as a standalone power cable for the fan, it should be just what we need. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, I guess, clip off the lightning end and maybe just take apart a little bit of the cable here. I'll try to make it not untangle on itself, but this way we actually preserve the entire length of the cable. This time I'm not going to be using the wire stripper because it might cause further damage. Now on the black cable, the USB-C end one, I really didn't know what to expect, and I was expecting it to be like this. But here I'm just going to be using a blade to cut off the insulator. Obviously be careful when working with sharp objects. Now this really isn't intended to be a tutorial. This is more of just I'm trying to do this myself and I'm documenting the process. So don't take this as a tutorial. This is more just for entertainment purposes. But once we get this cable shroud out of here, we should be good to go. Okay, so here is the wire. Yeah, it pulled the rest of the wires, but honestly that doesn't matter too much. The white and the green are the data cables, which we don't need either. So we might be able to trim those, or at least just leave them off to the side. And that works too, even though it didn't take off the whole thing. And ideally, we should be good to go now. Now this time I will prop it up again because if this cable actually does work, we will have a live wire. So I've got the multimeter set to DC, plug it into the Apple Cube, and actually let's have this here. The wire is plugged in. And we are reading the full 5 volts. So I wasn't going insane. There really was something wrong, or maybe a safety protection circuit. It's a USB-C cable. I was expecting something more along the lines of this. So this one should work. Let's disconnect it and test it out with the fan now. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, but at least for testing purposes, we're just going to see if this works. This is plugged in. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Oh snap. Check that out. Okay, so even though we had one failed attempt, this is working. Okay, so my plan right now is to maybe reintegrate this part. It did not completely disintegrate, which is nice. I did have to cut it in order to free it, but hey, I guess it's better than being broken into a million pieces. And because we also had this aluminum piece, it'll act as a retaining bracket, support bracket, whatever, you know, just to keep it in place. We're gonna leave it like that. We're gonna figure out how to integrate this somehow. I will have to clean this up a little bit and maybe put electrical tape over the pieces that we won't use, but it looks like we are good to go. I also decided to cut it a little bit just to make them the same length. You can't make this stuff up. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that we actually get continuity. This actually isn't that big of a problem though, because it'll make it much neater. Oh, and of course, this time it worked. Okay, so end result honestly isn't too bad. At the end of the day, it's just a power wire for a fan. But honestly, that is a far better use than just being e-waste, because this is still a nice braided cable, and I'm just glad I wasn't going crazy there. So I'm just doing a test fit to see how well it's gonna work. So I had to trim a little bit of the wire itself in order to make it fully fit in there. But now you can't even see the raw wire, which is awesome and a good safety measure. So let's try it again just to make sure that it still works. And we're in business. So it does show that the airflow is supposed to go this way, which it is. Now this is exactly what I wanted. I just wanted it to at least spin and circulate air. Even though it's not running at its full potential, it's still something, and at the same time we're reusing components that would otherwise be, you know, good for nothing. So for the data wires, I've got a little piece of electrical tape here, and I'm just gonna cover those wires up because we won't need them, and for the moment I'm gonna take those out. But there we go. Okay, so these will just sit isolated, not doing anything because we don't need them. What happened? Well, this is the aftermath of messing around with these. Well, it used to be one piece, and then I started to carve it out because, well, as you'll see shortly, I had to, because this was originally made for the lightning connector, which is, of course, thinner than the round cable, and because of that, there is no way that the end of the cable would have fit. Now, I did this because I want to kind of preserve the look and the quality, I guess you could say, of the cable. Mainly because of this aluminum piece. Whenever these two are put together and we put the aluminum over them, now I'm not putting it in all the way, but you can get the idea. Basically just a nicer way of leaving the cable instead of just covering the entire thing with electrical tape. I still will have to use some electrical tape to keep it permanently connected up to the PC fan, but at least this way the fabric here won't slide off or get sticky or fall apart. So this is what I have in mind. The edge of the cable will be aligned with the plastic piece, and then we just kind of clamp it over. So this way the data wires will just stay here and they won't do anything. The fabric will stay in place, and if everything goes to plan, we should just be able to slide this over. Now, it's a pretty tight fit, but honestly, that's better because that means it won't be going anywhere. And even though it might be a little bit annoying to work with, it means that this will be a pretty solid cable. So here is the result of our hard work. Obviously not as clean of a finish as before, but honestly not too bad. I mean, I was able to reuse these components, which is cool. The fabric is a little loose because obviously we did have to cut off some of the wire, but apart from that, it doesn't look half bad. So finally going to detach this from here. And I had an idea, I'm not exactly sure how well it would work out, but you know how some fans have like a metal mesh or like some sort of screen? I had an idea of just taking some wire or something. Not like this type of wire, I mean like actual metal strands, and emulate some kind of case or something like that. Don't really know what to do, don't have anything in particular in mind. I might just skip it for now, but at the same time it would be nice to have some sort of like mounting mechanism or maybe a custom stand or something like the Thermaltake. I think I'm just going to leave it as is for now, but it's a potential upgrade or modification to do in the future. But all that remains right now is to just hook up the cables and we should be good to go. For the budget of nothing, I think this is the best that I could have made it. So obviously black goes to black, red goes to red. There's nothing there for the third pin because this is primarily just power. All that's left to do now is to just put some electrical tape, make sure this stays in place, and we've got ourselves a ready to go USB fan. I think that's as good as it's gonna get, at least for electrical tape. I'm sure that heat shrink tubing would be even better, but it's what I've got on hand, and well, like I said, the budget is what I have on hand. I don't want to spend anything on this project, and let's go ahead and test it out again just to make sure that it does indeed work. And check it out. So, as long as we've got this hooked up to USB power, we now have a functional USB powered PC fan. It's nice to know that this fan does indeed work because, like I said, after all this time of having it, I've never even plugged it in. So this will be a nice addition to the project that I have in mind, and well, if you've enjoyed today's video, then consider leaving a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, specifically today's video because it was a little bit different compared to normal videos, then leave a comment down below. Let me know what you liked about it. Let me know what you did not like. If you want to see more content like this, I'd be happy to make some more. I just need to get some more ideas of what to do. So this was a pretty easy project, and it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise that the black cable did not work because, well, I mean, this one turned out even better. Subscribe if you want more stuff like this, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Here's a little bonus. Now, the black cable that we tried using earlier, I'm not going to throw this out yet because if the individual wires themselves are still good, like I said, there was continuity, I will hold on to it in case I need, well, small pieces of wire. And as for these connectors, not really sure what to do with them, but I'll just put them alongside this cable as well because this still has the little chips on it for the lightning connector, and it's possible that the cable itself wasn't functional just because of some damage to these wires. So maybe we could make or repair a new lightning connector in the future. Don't have any plans for them, but I will hold on to them. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.